Good evening, Facebook. I'm Undrai Fizer. Hope you're doing well. Just got back from St. Louis on yesterday evening and had a great time there in Identity Talks. And I just wanted to share something with you. And I'm appreciative of everyone who invests time into Facebook Live, especially if you're connecting with me. You don't have to do it, but hopefully you're getting something powerful to add to your life in your day, and I hope that it's recognized. Power that is unrecognized isn't power. Value that isn't recognized isn't value. So hopefully you're recognizing something of usage for you and that it will add to your life in your moment in your day. I always want your day to be increased, and I always want you to feel that if you listen to me or talk to me, that you're going to get something incredible for your spirit in your life, not just for your religion, but for your life, and that you will know what to do and you will be empowered and motivated and inspired to do whatever your dreams are. I want to talk about observational influence. How you guys doing? What's up, Robert and Yvette and Bridget and everybody who's on? I appreciate it. I'm not going to hold you long. It's a rainy day out there, and I know that you're trying to get to where you got to go. There is a lot of things with God that we look at as deep, and really, whatever it is that we feel is deep, we're already doing it, but we're applying it to the wrong people, or we're applying these things to other situations. You know when something is valuable to you based on how you respond to its will. You know how valuable your lights are when they send you a letter and they say, pay these bills, pay this light bill. The quicker you respond to it, the quicker you react to the bill or the will of the uh, light company, that shows you the influence that the lights have on your life. The quicker you respond to rent, the quicker you respond to a car payment. It lets you know the influence that's on your life. How do you know when something is influencing you? The pace of your response to the will of the thing. You just can't tell God that He's great and there is a slow response. You know, I'm a father of three, and I measure my authority based on the pace of response that my children have to my will. If I say, son, I want you to do this, and he takes a week to do it, then I know my authority doesn't mean much to him. If I tell another son, I want you to go here, and he doesn't do it, then I know my authority means nothing to him. And I think with God, we've grown accustomed to creating or fighting for this peaceful truce with God, which means you have a will and I have a will, and we're just going to fight until one of us gives up. We're going to fight until there's a peaceful compatibility of nothingness between the both of us. You're not going to get what you want. I'm not going to get what I want. And so we're at a truce. And sometimes excuses and procrastination in yourself is when you fight for a truce in yourself. You know if you are influential to yourself based on how you react to your own ideas. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. In other words, if you say you're going to do something and you take all year to do it, then you really don't have any authority over yourself. Authority is based and influence is based on how quick you respond to the will of the thing that asks. How do I know something has authority over me? Or how do I know that I'm influenced by something? Because my reaction and my fulfillment time is quick, because I know what this thing means to me in my life. But when I respond slowly, I have not recognized the influence of my life. Influence is not the position of the person. Influence determines the position of you because of the person. Influence is not that the person is a captain. Influence is not that the person is a president. Influence determines your position or how you feel about who you're looking at. I know that this thing is influential because it changes my posture. Just because you're in charge don't mean that we listen. Just because somebody is over something don't mean that we listen to them. But when I could see what my life means to me because of the presence of this person, then I know the influence that's on my life. And sometimes we are actually living these things. God is trying to awaken us to what the power of influence is. But because we may not move quickly with God, we seem to not understand what it means. But you are doing these things. I believe a lot of us suffer from misapplied observation. Write that down. Misapplied. Thank you. I think a lot of us suffer from misapplied observance, which means we're actually doing these things that God requires and that God is trying to wake us up to, but we're giving it to other things and other people. We're giving those things that God is teaching us, and we're giving credit to the other people for it. We are influenced by relationships and job and survival. God is wanting to awaken us up to a divine influence to Him and who we are, but we can't see Him or who we are because we are perceiving it with other people. You got what I'm saying? How do I know that something is influential? Look at your pace of response to the thing. Look at how quick you respond to what is influenced over you. If something has influence in your life, your reaction time is quicker, your intent is quicker, your destruction of obstacles is more dynamic because this thing carries a weight with you. You're not looking at the cost you're paying, you're looking at the authority that the thing has with you and how great your life is because of it. And I believe with God, we've given Him a lot of flattery. God is trying to also get us to see that we are a divine expression. But if we don't see the influence in us, when you look at you, do you feel that your life is upgraded? When you speak to yourself, all of you who are listening to me, when you speak to yourself or when you have an idea, how quick do you respond to that idea? You are a thought of God. Now we know the rhetoric of this thought, but how many of you actually embody it? When you speak to yourself, how quick do you respond to your mind? When you have an idea, how quick do you respond to it? When you think of something to do, how quick do you respond to it? You know that you have authority in your life based on the intensity or the speed of the response that you have to yourself. I believe some of us, when we don't respond with intent and faith to our own words, I believe we may use the spirit of the enemy or the Satan to be a bufferer between us and the divine thought of God. In other words, with God, instead of responding quickly, we fight for a truce. We fight for a peaceful impasse. And so many times we tell God, I'm not where I should be, but I'm not where I used to be. God, you know my heart. God, you know my heart. I'm not where I used to be, but I'm this. People judge me. Don't judge me. Don't. You. But there is no quick reaction or response to the influence. So we need a bufferer, and sometimes religion is the bufferer between action, influence, and intent. Religion allows us to have this peaceful impasse between activating our divine mind and our divine thought, and it allows us to wallow in nothingness, giving God excuses, giving God excuses, giving God excuses. Thank you. Giving God excuses and you know my heart and this and that, don't this and that. Because if something has influence, your reaction time is quicker because I need it. I need it. And when you need it, you don't look at the cost of it. I need it. I value it. I value this. How do I know I value something? Bless you. How do I know I value it? Because it's looking at my reaction and my response to it. See, worship is not slow music and lifting your hands and stuff. Worship is the gathering of people who intend and move forward with intention towards something they love. Worship is, look at the reaction of the people who've recognized the value of something that they need. Worship is not just a slow song and Lord, you're this. But He knows who He is based on your reaction. Listen, God knows how valuable He is to you based on your reaction to His desire. Just like, just like if I ask my kid, do this, and he takes his time, then I know I'm not nothing. I don't mean much. You're taking me for granted. You know I'm going to feed you. You know I'm going to do this. But really, there is no favor, there's no influence I have in your life because you're taking all month to do what I say. And we constantly have to fight for peaceful coexistence in the house. And sometimes we fight for peaceful coexistence with God. I'm not going to do this. And it's not a matter of God telling us not to do this and do this and do that. The word of God is when you tell yourself to do something, because you are who God is in the earth. And as you imagine and think, that is God's greatness getting you to respond to the greatness of you. And sometimes our lack of response to the greatness of us lets us know that we carry no weight with us, and that we're constantly fighting every day for a peaceful coexistence between us and our purpose. We're fighting for a peaceful coexistence. And sometimes excuses is really peaceful coexistence between you and destiny. What is an excuse? A peaceful coexistence, a peaceful truce. I'm not going to do it, and you're not going to make me. I hear it in my mind, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to detour myself to act like I didn't hear it. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Sometimes excuses are peaceful coexistence or a peaceful truce between our greatness. I'm not going to do it. It's not a matter of God telling you don't wear pants and makeup. When we came up, that's what we said. God, don't want you wearing it. Don't do this here. But now I'm finding out the greatness of God doesn't have nothing to do with wearing a pants or wearing dresses or makeup or black pants and white shirts and ties. No, the greatness of God is how willing are you to give yourself over to who you are and to live out your divine reality. And some of us are fighting for a truce. We hear the great way to go, but we're not following it because we're fearful of the cost of it, because we have no influence in ourselves. There is misapplied observation, which means what we should give us, we give to bills. The influence that we see in ourselves, we've given it to our survival. We've given it to credit. We've given it to our jobs, but we have not given it to ourselves. When I see myself, I don't feel influence and I don't feel authority. Observational influence. How well do you react to something? That determines the influence of God. And we've made religious principles of coexistence or peaceful truce between God and us. And we've made a religious rhetoric out of it that we buy into and invest into. And we call it mercy. If something means something to me, my response to it will mean something to the giver. When it means something to me, I respond. If it doesn't mean anything to me, I don't. Simply put, I've lost so many relationships because I would not allow a truce between me and the purpose. Come on, Undrai. Come on, man. I have not allowed that. Hello. How do I know that something means something to me? My response to it. How do I know its influence? My response to it. Because if it means something, there's no need for a truce. I'm Undrai Fizer. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for joining me.